Hey everyone! This week I learned how to dye fabric with tea. That's right, the tea that you drink, you can also use to dye fabric. It's a super handy skill to know and will help you in thousands of different circumstances. Say for instance, you need to make an intro video for your how to make a Luke Skywalker helmet video and you only have white pants and you need them to actually be the beige color of Luke Skywalker's pants. Get out your tea and start dyeing. Here's what I learned. The first thing I did is I found a big pot. Unfortunately, it was still full of animal bits and pieces from making soup stock. I will suggest that if you throw something out that was sitting on the stove, you check first to make sure it wasn't actually your dinner. The next thing I did was check the tag on my pants. You're supposed to use natural fibers, however these were part polyester. I decided to live on the wild side and try it anyways. The directions I was following said to use 1 tea bag per cup of water. However, I was planning on using up some old loose tea I had, so I had to figure out how much tea is in a tea bag. Believe it or not, it turns out to be approximately 1 heaping teaspoon. I threw my pants in the pot to get a vague idea of how much water I need to cover them up. Then I pulled them out and started filling up my pot with water, making sure to track how many cups of water I was using. I added 2 tablespoons of salt for every 4 cups of water, which supposedly helps set the color. I then filled a tea strainer with 1 heaping teaspoon of tea for every cup of water I used. I used 12 cups of water, so with some advanced math, I figured out that I would need 12 heaping teaspoons of tea. I popped the tea in the water, turned on the stove, and let it simmer for about an hour. I then turned off the stove, pulled out my tea, wet my pants, and threw them in. I tried to submerge them under the tea, but they just wanted to float to the top, so I just made sure to stir them regularly to try and get as even coverage as possible. I kept them in the teapot for about 3 hours. Obviously, the longer you leave them in, the darker they get. When I took them out, I rinsed them really well and then let them sit in a bucket of cold water with a splash of vinegar for 15 minutes. This is also supposed to set the tea dye so it doesn't wash out as easily. Then I rinsed them again and tossed them in the dryer. When I pulled them out, I was super happy because I had tea dyed some pants. I did notice there were some crazy black stains on my pants that weren't there before, which interestingly corresponded with a black mark on the bottom of my pot, which even more interestingly corresponded with the place I had set the tea strainer thingy. So yeah, maybe don't do exactly what I did, or you may regret it. Other than that, I was super happy with how these pants turned out, as you can see. Thanks for watching, have a great day.